Good morning/afternoon. If you're on the West Coast, it is morning. If you're on the East Coast, it's almost afternoon. So good morning, evening, afternoon, night, whatever it is, wherever you are. Thank you for joining me. Hope you're doing fantastic. Hello to the North, hello to the East, hello to the West, hello to the South. Welcome to the Ultimate Manifestation Podcast. I'm podcasting live from Facebook because everybody's kind of stuck within. And so it's kind of neat to see how all of this can unfold as I'm like watching myself do it. I'm finding out all these crazy things. But anyway, super excited to be here. Hope you guys are fantastic. Hope you are keeping your spirits high and you are basically taking the time out to be your best, even though there's not much you can do. But you know what? The most important thing is to go inside right here and to connect, and connect to those you love and connect to those who you could potentially love and just really take this time to go within and find peace. So that's my advice. Free will allows you to take it or not. Okay? So the Ultimate Manifestation Podcast. So this is a podcast I've been doing for a long time because I have an intense love for manifestation and I have an intense love for helping people to bring about what they want in their lives. Okay? And so when we think about manifestation is happening all the time, right? But when we really want to manifest our dreams, how do we go about it? And today's episode is just about doing that. And there's no magic involved. There's no voodoo or anything like that. But just an easy, step-by-step, simple set of actions you can do in order to allow yourself to basically come into agreement with what it is that you're wanting, okay? So when we say agreement, we have to be consciously aware and consciously connected to the things that we want to manifest. Let's say if you want a new car, right? Let's say you want a brand new red Chevy Corvette with titanium wheels, red and black leather interior. Now you know my dream car. But, let's say you want that car. You know what you have to do? You have to get it in here and then here first, right? And so what does that mean? It's okay to tell somebody, oh, well, I want this and this would be cool to have, but it doesn't work, right? An interesting, I want to say scripture, but it relates to everybody, whether you're religious or not, is when Jesus talked about whatever it is you pray for, whatever it is you wish to have, believe you have it first and foremost inside of you, undeniably, and you can have that thing. And so what winds up happening is you come into agreement with that thing, okay? And so the most important thing to be able to come into agreement with something is to first and foremost figure out why I might not be in agreement with it, right? So something as simple as I want to be the manager of the place that I work. That's an example. All of a sudden, if you're not totally in agreement with that, guess what happens? A thought comes in that says, well, you've never had any leadership experience. You've never dealt with people in a way that would let you know that you could be successful in that. So immediately when that thought comes in, instead of judging with it, wrestling it, and all of a sudden having a WWE WrestleMania emotional basically turmoil going on, you have to take a moment to stop, okay? You have to take a moment to stop, observe that thought, okay? Observe that thought, and then after observing that thought, figure out if it's true or false, okay? Figure out if the thought is true or false. And in most cases, these thoughts are false because from a divine perspective, we have a bounty, we have a trust, we have so much that is ours by divine right and divine selection that we can have whatever we desire as long as it's not hurting ourselves or anybody else. So I'll say that again because I really think everybody needs to hear that. You can have whatever you desire as long as it's not hurting yourself or hurting anybody else. You only have to come into conscious agreement with it, right? So in realizing that if you want something you've never had, your conditioning is going to play a big part into determining whether or not you get that thing, right? And everybody around you likely will remind you if you hadn't had experience doing that. I remember 12, 13 years ago, I decided to become an actor. And the first thing everybody said, or a lot of people said, was, well, what kind of acting have you done? And how much experience do you have doing it? And what about this and what about that? But you know what? I had already made up in my mind and in my heart that I could do this. And I know now, what I didn't know then is that I already had believed what was already a possibility, no matter what anybody thought. I knew in my heart, I'm going to be an actor. I am an actor. Basically, not going to be, I am an actor. And that, once again, led to one job after the other, an opportunity to reinforce my agreement, to reinforce my belief, not just a belief, but a knowing. You know, we talk about beliefs, but you got to get to a knowing if there's something in your life. Hey, Julie, you gotta get to a knowing of the thing that you're desiring to have in your life, right? You have to, because if not, too many things can knock you off kilter, right? And the thoughts are the very first things that come up to try to say what you can't and can't do because of where you come from, what you can't and can do because of what your family has inherited. Like, all that, excuse my French, is bullshit. It's not true. There's no limits unless we place limits on ourselves. Because here's the thing, if you begin to desire something, I guarantee you, the God in you is the essence that put it in there, which means that it wants that thing to come to pass. It wants that thing to come into your life, to come alive, to be manifested, right? But we have to know that, right? We have to know that. So one of my favorite topics is talking about money, because the amount of money you have right now and the amount of money you allow to come into your life is directly connected to your conscious agreement of how much you deserve, of how much you know is yours. And I'm going to give you this, and this may change your life, and I hope it does, because once you agree, there's this thing called the money set point, where you can only make a certain amount to where you feel like you're worthy of making. And you've come into conscious agreement and subconscious agreement with that amount. And so guess what? When the opportunity comes to make more than that, you're not going to be able to go past it, because you're only in agreement. Let's say you're only in agreement with 500 grand. You're only going to make 500 grand because that's your set point, right? But when you come into a conscious agreement with $1 million, and not only conscious, but mental and spiritual and emotional agreement, guess what? You can move up to $1 million because you've already agreed with yourself. Anytime we fail at something, it's because we're not in agreement that we can do that thing and do it successfully, right? And this goes with any and everything, like something you're just starting. Let's say you just got thrusted into a leadership position. The first thing you need to do is know within yourself you can do that thing, and you are that thing. Because here's the truth: the universe is everything. The universe is every inch, every atom, every wave, every particle. It's everything, which means we are everything. Which means that thing that we seek is already seeking us in the form of already being us. So that new car you want, you're already it. It's already your energy, right? That new house, it's already your energy. And I love talking about these types of things, because what potentially happens is the moment somebody says, I want a new something, a thought comes up to sort of contradict it. But it's like really taking a moment to say, okay, is this thought true or false, right? And you want to move into this place where no thought is ever true or false until you decide. And the power lies in deciding. The power lies in decision, because in decision, all of a sudden it sends a blast of energy through the universe. Just like you remember The Secret when the genie was like, your wish is my command. Because once you decide, boom, there's a blast of energy that goes through the universe that's matching up with that very thing. And then guess what? If you're in agreement with it, all of a sudden you see this red Corvette zooming by as you're coming out of your complex. Or you see, like, you come across this magazine and that's the universe telling you you're on track, right? And you just got to look for the signs. It's that easy. Look for the signs and it will continue to reaffirm to you that you're moving in the right direction. Now, if you say you want something and then it just nothing about it shows up, check and see if you're in agreement with it, right? Check and see if you're in agreement because you want to seal the deal. In the church, we used to use this term called covenant. And there was something so elegant and just like esoteric about the word covenant. And covenant just basically is a spiritual word for agreement. And you just want to come into agreement, whatever it is. Now is such an important time because we've got all this time to really sit on stuff and sit with stuff. So you got to be thinking about all the amazing things you're going to have manifest in your life once this whole corona situation blows over. And it's up to us now to just embody it within, right? You got to sit and ask yourself, what do I want to come into agreement with? What do I feel a connection to that I already know is mine? Whatever it is. Remember, as long as it's not hurting you or hurting anybody else, it's yours. It's already yours. The energy of it already exists because you are the energy of everything. God in you is the energy of everything. The universe, whatever you want to call it, it's everything, right? So all you're doing when you want to come up with something new is you're just shifting your awareness to that energy manifesting in your physical life. That's all it is, right? You know where we get trapped up or tripped up? We think we got to do the heavy lifting, like we got to go put the car together and like figure out all the tools and shit to it and stuff and bring it into our lives. No, we don't have to do that. All we're doing is just creating a conscious agreement and awareness of that thing being physically in our presence, right? And here is a ginormous key that can really seal the deal. Taking ownership of what it is that you desire, right? Taking ownership is the most important aspect of manifestation. Why? Because once again, that scripture we talked about, if you believe you have what you're praying for, what you're asking for, inevitably you're going to get it. It's going to show up. That's just how it goes. But you have to have that belief. You have to have that knowing. So in order to have that knowing, you know what I do? I take ownership of something. I realize that all the money in the universe belongs to me. It's mine. When I say something is mine, all of a sudden my energy around it changes, right? This is my Facebook, mine, right? Which means the energy around that changes as opposed to someone else's. See, the struggle with money comes in is because we're not aware of this. I'm telling you, there is a bounty, a divine trust that is available once we're able to recognize and shift our awareness and perspective that it's ours. You're not trying to get somebody else's money, right? You're only getting your own. And the way to get your own is to consciously come into agreement and say, you know what? This is my money. Millions and millions and millions on top of millions of dollars. It's my money. It's mine. It's mine. It's mine. And then let it come into your life. Trust that just from that action alone. And by letting go, because at that point, you've already mentally, spiritually, and emotionally possessed it. So now it's a given. It's just only a matter of time, right? And you keep yourself focused on your faith of knowing that this works because there's no way in the world you can take two people who have the same amount of time in a day, who take the same amount of breaths in a day, who have the same access to stuff, whether no matter where you are on the societal scale or whatever, there's always access to stuff that can help you heal this, and heal all of this. Enough to the point where you truly understand what is yours. And I'm telling you, when you become aware of that bounty, when you become aware of what's actually there for you and what I like to call Spirit is really, really excited to give you, you no longer poor mouth yourself. You no longer poor mouth others. You no longer feel like you can't have something, right? Anything you want, you can have. You just have to agree with yourself about it, and you just have to not entertain anything that says otherwise. Anything that says that what you're claiming is false, fuck it. And I say that with the utmost of intention to not allow anything that doesn't agree with my truth. Because if it doesn't agree with my truth, it doesn't belong to me. If it agrees with my truth and what I feel my truth to be, it's mine, right? Babies have it figured out. You know, I used to remember watching my niece. She's like 20 now, but when she was like a baby, she would like see a toy she wanted. She said, mine. And I was like, oh, no, that's selfish. But guess what? That's the key to manifestation. I see that car, mine, right? I see that job, that new production company, mine. I see that $100 million, mine. Why? Because all of a sudden, the energy of it becomes more magnetic to me, or my energy becomes more magnetic to it when I understand I already have possession of it. It's mine. It's mine. It's mine. It's mine. And all I have to do is just be patient enough to allow it to come into my life. Bada bing, bada boom. You're manifesting every single thing that you set out to because you are in agreement. And that's a powerful word, agreement, coming together, combining as one, symbiotic, connection, togetherness, agreement, right? That's all it takes. That's all it takes to manifest whatever you desire, and you have the time right now. I want you to take a moment, like, let's say things weren't going well in work, or things weren't going well in family, whatever it is, you know, what are you standing in agreement with? Like, dive deep, right? I may want this, but I'm acting like I want something else. How does my subconscious and conscious mind match up together to where everything can flow? Because life is all about flow. Life is all about ease. Life is all about being in peace and having a good time as you do stuff, right? I mean, it really is. That's what it comes down to. So if that's missing and there's dissonance, you know, look first within to see if you're contributing to that. You know what? Maybe I thought this was something that it wasn't, and now I'm out of agreement with it, so I got to cut it loose. That's honest. That's an honest opinion, right? Maybe I bit off more than I can chew, and I'm a better fit for something else or someone else. Maybe it's time to let this go. And it's just that simple in principle that all of a sudden opens up, frees up energy for you to really get what you want. There's a saying that they teach all the time in law of attraction, and it says that, you know, they call it the clear, and you have to know what you don't want before you know what you do want. And that is so true. That's so true, right? Because from the outside looking in, this is why Spirit tells us to embody this thing before, because here's the secret. When you start to embody something and you really start to get the energy on the inside, your body will tell you if this thing is right for you, right? So if I say I'm going to take all my money and go buy a $250,000 Lamborghini, when I embody that thing, if there's something off about it at this time, I'll start feeling it in my chest, my stomach, my back. The energy won't agree with me. But if all of a sudden I get goosebumps and I light up and all of a sudden I'm walking on cloud nine, then I know, okay, I'm in agreement with this thing. My energy is in agreement with this thing. Let's go. Let's do it. Let's move in that direction to where I can actually possess it right now. So it's mine. And then I just keep feeding that energy. And then I let it go. I feed that energy and I let it go. And I just remain patient until it decides to show up, right? Because it will show up if you do that. I promise you. I don't know how long it will take. A lot of that depends on what kind of stuff we're working through emotionally and through our beliefs and stuff, but it will show up when you come into agreement with it, because agreement transcends, oftentimes, I've found, a lot of that stuff. So it's even more important to get into alignment with that conscious agreement. So what I'm going to do now that I didn't do yesterday is I'm going to give you an intention. So if you're watching and you're still here and you're with me, I want you to take your right hand and your middle finger, place it on your third eye, just like that. And then take the middle finger in your left hand and place it in the center of your chest, on your heart center. And I want you to just take a deep breath. As a matter of fact, take a few deep breaths. Okay? And I've done this before for all my listeners listening into the podcast. I've done this before because, what we're going to do first and foremost is focus on compassion. So I really want you to take a moment to focus on being compassionate. As a matter of fact, focus on the compassion for the world. The world is in a state of flux, filled with fear, uncertainty, not knowing what's going on. So let's take a few moments to feel compassion for everybody that's suffering from fear and uncertainty in this moment. Just feel compassion. Just, want the best for those people. Want the best, the well-being of everybody. And just breathe into that. Good. And what you'll start to see with your body is there's a calmness that comes over you, because compassion brings about a calmness. It brings about an opportunity to really connect to the energy of all 7.6 billion people in this world. That's what it does. It connects us. It makes us one. Okay? Take a deep breath. Good. And right after that, we're going to go into a affirmation or an intention, and I'm going to let you go after that. So take another deep breath for me. Perfect. All right, here's our intention. And just to let you know, whether you're religious or not, this works because there's an energy, there's an essence in all of us that keeps our hearts beating, that keeps our cells regenerating, that keeps nature flowing in its beauty. Dearest benevolent spirit, who is present in each and every one of us, thank you for hearing our intentions. Thank you for hearing our desires. Thank you for bringing us a level of peace that helps us to observe everything for exactly what it is, which is love, because everything is love. We ask that we come into agreement with each and everything that resonates with our heart's desires, that is in our highest good and the highest good of all concern, that it may unfold under grace in the most perfect way possible. And so it is. And if you like amen, amen. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining me. It has been a pleasure speaking with you on this podcast and on Facebook Live. I'm sure we will be back soon. Other than that, have a wonderful Saturday, and we will talk to you later. Take care.